Right, let's give you a list. I'm not going to go through them in great detail. A lot of you will know, but this is a list of, I think I've got 6 here.
Oh dear.
VAR
is that all?
Shockers. Well,
Numbers are coming down.
There's 2 in one. First of all, Friday night, the Ceballos dive, which was given as a penalty. It's a massive dive. And then the Pepe offside, which actually I'm looking at it now. We've got a picture of it in front of us, and I'm looking at the line that's been drawn. I think you can make a case to say he's onside and offside. Just by looking at that. I think it's ridiculous that was given offside.
That one is a difficult one. I'm with you 100% on that. I remember watching it at the game and thinking, that is an unreal one to call. Knowing we're talking about a toenail, I can't even...
I can't see where it's clearly offside. So that's
no.
Weird. In some ways, I'm glad that the offside was given because I don't think it's a penalty in a million years. Callum Wilson disallowed goal. It is his hand, and by the law, you've got to say you can't put the ball in with your arm. So fair enough. But then you've got to look, and this is where I have a real problem with VAR. So the goal was given, and then they've looked at it and they say, oh, yeah, it's handball. But they haven't looked at why he handballs it. He handballs it because Trent Alexander-Arnold shoves him in the back. So you either give the goal or you give a penalty. So that, to me, is very unfair. They're not looking at the whole picture. They're looking at detailed, isolated incidents and little moments rather than the lead-up to it. Azpilicueta's handball, I'm not sure you can't. It's a bit like the Luke Shaw one yesterday. I mean,
too hard. You couldn't tell. The doubt, too much doubt. The Luke Shaw one, definitely too much doubt.
Well, the Luke Shaw one I thought was even more clear because... because what the defence of not giving a penalty will be that his arm is by his side, but all he's doing is leaning over. Yes, his arm's by his side, but his body's not in a natural position, even though his arm's next to his body. So he's leaning over so that his arm's in a natural position.
Was it chest first? That's my point on that.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's first. If it then hits the arm, it's handball. So I thought both should have been penalties. Balbuena's reds. Now, if you are on Twitter, Jason Cundy will tell you that this was a red all day long, but you've got to remember he's a Chelsea fan. This, in a million years, Balbuena getting sent off for West Ham for kicking a football. That's what he's been sent off for. This is one of the biggest VAR disgraces I think I've ever seen. I cannot understand it. And I heard Danny Murphy on Jim White's show this morning saying... it's because referees don't understand football. With respect to Danny, and I really, really like Danny, I don't think he's right. These referees, officials, they've been doing this job for years and years at various different levels of the game, from grassroots upwards. They have an understanding of football. They have played football in the past. Please don't, I think it's insulting to say they don't understand. I think what's happening is he's gone over to the screen, that referee, and all he's seen is that footage. It just instantly stops the moment the studs are on Chilwell's calf. And so he thinks, oh, yeah, he's studded him in the calf. I've got to send him off for that. But he's kicking a ball. He's not making a tackle.
I know.
He's kicking a flipping ball. It's not a red, is it?
No. It was unbelievable after he'd kicked it. And all he could, in his defence, if he had any defence whatsoever, which he hadn't, but if he did, he could say he thought the follow-through, he went out of his way to make contact with the calf. By sending him off, he's suggesting that.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
That.
No, I don't. It was just a follow-through, and unfortunately for Chilwell, who was going for the ball, which he's allowed to do, he ended up getting in the way of the follow-through, and that happens. And in the same game, it happened later on, didn't it?
Kufau,
and nothing happened.
Another one here, we've got a picture of it here, is Vidra's offside. He is offside. It's definitely offside, but actually when it happened, I thought he's offside. And I actually felt sorry for Vidra because he's ran to the keeper, put it into the back of the net, and then he's looking over at the lino who doesn't raise his flag, so he doesn't know whether to celebrate. I think a crowd at that game would have been so frustrated. The whole not raising the flag thing has now left officials undermined. I think that it affected the celebrations. It made the lino look clueless. VAR undermining on-pitch officials. And the final one, and we haven't got it here, the West Bromwich Albion penalty. I think Maitland-Niles it was who went down. That's not a penalty. I mean, Dean Smith's right. He's going to have to coach his players to play non-contact football if that is going to be given as a penalty. So these are the decisions. And I just want to ask, we spend a lot of time on VAR, and I understand people's frustrations with the time we spend on VAR. However, was it this bad before? I can't remember a time ever coming into work, getting ready to do Drive, in 15 years of doing this show, before VAR where we said, I've got 5 or 6 refereeing decisions I've got to go through. There might have been the odd 1 or 2. Of course there were. They were going to make mistakes. But VAR was meant to eliminate most of those mistakes. And yet it doesn't seem to be doing that.
Oh, okay. If you went to every player or every club in the Premier League and asked them if you want the experiment with VAR to continue, do you think they would all vote it out? It would be a massive swing to get rid of it.
I genuinely don't know. But
that's what it should come down to, shouldn't it be? Steve Bruce, although it was tongue-in-cheek a little bit, trying to be a bit funny with it, and said, well, we changed the rules and everything else. Why don't we get the rules and make our own rules for the Premier League? So basically, he's saying get rid of VAR. So it'd be interesting if they actually did a vote for the players, like the PCA do, the PFA do, a vote to see what the members actually think. The guys who are playing the game, and girls, what they think if VAR should continue. I'd love to know what the voting was.
Yeah, I'd love to know that as well.
Surely there's a vote on it.
But I also think that the fans deserve a say in this as well. And I think that we haven't really got a feel for it without fans in the ground. Had there been fans in the ground, I think there would have been uproar this season. I mean, I'm looking at it again. I mean, the penalty decision, to look at the Ceballos one and then give a penalty when VAR looks at it, I can't get my head around it. It's a clear and obvious error. I mean, he's gone to ground so long after there's any remote contact. It's unbelievable. He should be booked for that, really. And the Pepe offsides following that, which meant the penalty wasn't given anyway. I'm looking at it again, and I can't believe that. My understanding is managers are okay with offside. I haven't got that officially from any kind of source or whatever. They're okay with VAR deciding offside. Really? In those circumstances?
Do you know when it comes as well, when you're talking about that game, Villa West Brom, right? The manager's reaction after the game, where they get too emotionally involved, because Sam actually, I thought, talked sense, because he actually said, if you give him one, which he thought was soft, you had to give the other against him, right? And he said, so I've no problem with that, because they were consistent. Yet, Villa were saying in the press conference after, but he couldn't see a penalty, no matter what. He didn't mention his, where Barkley went down easy, right? All he talked about, but, you know what I mean, he didn't know what the problem was. It was a definite penalty.
You're right, yeah.
So, Sam actually, but the man under pressure there, purely because their team need to win 5 of the last 6, actually spoke sense and said, as long as they get it right both ends, it's not an issue for him. It's when one would have been given and then the other one wouldn't have been. Would have been a serious.
And we need to get more views from managers, players. I think fans need to have their say. So we'll take Lee, a Leeds fan, wants to talk about VAR. How you doing, Lee?
Not bad, yourself?
Yeah, not bad at all. It's good to have you on.
Cheers, man. I hear you talking about VAR and it's controversial and everything, but do you not think VAR gets the blame for the rules? Because it's the rules that are the problem, and all VAR is doing is following the rules. If the rules are saying, this is the rule, X, Y, Z, you've got to stick to it. Everyone's moaning about offsides and these razor-thin ones, but the fact is, the rules that they've been told to judge on is this is the rule. If any part of it's offside, and everyone just blames VAR, but it's the rules that's the issue, surely.
Well, they're changing them, though, aren't they? Because with the offside, the umpires, the linesmen have been told not to put the flags up. So that is confusing straight away, because he'll think, that's offside, but if I can't put my flag up, so I don't put my flag up.
Yeah, granted, but all these like razor-thin ones, like the Pepe one and the Bamford one at Palace and everything, it's these such fine offside margins that everyone just blames VAR and says get VAR out, but it's the rules that are saying if they're offside, even if it's a mil, then it's offside. So surely, I think in light of VAR, you've got to change the offside rules slightly.
I get where you're coming from, and a lot of people are saying this, Lee, that it's to do with the laws and not VAR. And I do get, and in some circumstances you might be right. With the offside one, it is about VAR, that, because I think the line is way too thin. I think also you don't have the technology to be that precise, and they're trying to be too precise. Those are all VAR issues, not law issues. I think with the handballs, and I'm looking at the Callum Wilson one, and let's just stick with the Callum Wilson one. Yes, it goes in, or his arm plays a part in the ball getting from him to the goal.
Well, it's kicked against his arm, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't control it. He doesn't use his arm to score or help him score. It's kicked against his arm, but he's only in that position because Trent has given him a little shove in the back. So this is my big problem with it. Yes, you could talk about the laws. Oh, well, the law is it hits part of his arm. But why does it do that? Why don't they go and look at, is there something that's affected him in his movement leading up to that that's led to the arm being used or the ball hitting the arm? It's because he's been shoved in the back. Now, why haven't they looked at that? Why didn't they look at Luke Shaw's body position rather than just his arm being by his side? And the same goes for Azpilicueta. Is his body in a natural position, or is he contorting it but just keeping his arm by his side? And
well, that's what they do now, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're getting clever with that. So they know they can lean to it as long as their arms are down by the side. They're okay.
But you know what? This is my big problem. From day one, you will know that my big problem is VAR. And I knew this was going to happen. I hate to say I told you so. It's taken common sense out of the game. And because they keep having to look and look again, and this is the Balbuena problem, he kept looking at it, and he sees something different every time. And by the time he's finished watching it 4 or 5 times, it's completely different to how he first saw it in real time, which was his common sense, instinctive reaction to the incident. That's what he should have gone with. His common sense, instinctive reaction, rather than freeze framing studs on a calf.
Well, they've gone back to him, so he knows they're not quite sure. They think it might be worth him having a look because you might want to change.
It's got to affect his judgment.
Straight away when he's going over to the screen, he's thinking that. And then, I'm with you, when he was running over to the screen, he was showing it as he was running over, and all you could see was the freeze frame of his leg catching Chilwell.
Yeah.
His leg. And then he watched it again and again and again, and you knew straight away he was coming over, send him off.
So these are VAR issues, so not law issues. And in terms of referees, a lot of people have tweeted me over the weekend saying the referees just aren't good enough. I'll ask the question again. Was it this bad before VAR? I don't think it was. So I believe that VAR is making the officials look worse than they actually are. Just my point of view.
I think you might have forgot a lot of our conversations about referees every single Monday morning. Referee bad decisions before VAR.
Did I have a list of 5 or 6, though?
No, but I think we forgot about it. But some of the refereeing wasn't up to scratch.
Agree totally. And absolutely. And we've called it out in the past. And you should. That's part of the game. But this hasn't made it better. And it's costing quite a bit of money. So and it's affecting the enjoyment of the game, celebrating goals. Fans aren't loving VAR for the stoppages, etc. So is it really was it really that bad before?